Hey everyone, Matt once again, Two Noobs Talking with my friend John. John, how you doing, bud? What's going on?
Yeah.
Great to be with you as always. So let's just go ahead and just jump right into today. We got so much on the docket, but today I wanted to share this photo from the Pottstown Area Police Athletic League. And so what you're looking at here is an old deck hockey rink that's right off of Spring City, just north of where I'm living, actually. And my buddy Steve Rowe, who basically is part of the Police Athletic League, went there with a bunch of volunteers earlier this year, actually. And they wanted to kind of revitalize the deck hockey rink to kind of get the kids more involved in hockey. And so this is what they were looking at. Pretty much the owner of the place had pretty much sold and left the area. So the entire thing was in neglect. Everything was being spray painted, graffitied up, all that kind of stuff. They go in there, and as you can see, this is an in progress. All the weeds are being pulled out. All of the boards are starting to be repainted, all that kind of stuff. Now it's fully complete. And essentially now they are playing hockey. All these kids now are out there playing hockey and running a league. And this rink will eventually be taken down and moved up closer to Spring City. But John, let's talk about like just that in and of itself and serving your communities, right? I mean, this is a tremendous, tremendous story. Didn't get reported in the local news or anything, but was shared by my buddy Steve. And let's just talk about like giving back to the community, right?
Oh, absolutely. Uh, Kudos, Steve. That's something that we all wish we can do, and
Yeah.
sometimes, doing it is the best part.
Yeah.
And the fact that he even took on a project serving people, as we talk about all the time, service to your community, service to your loved ones, service to yourself.
Yeah.
It's always it builds your character, it builds your love for life, it builds the world around you, and that's extremely important.
Yeah.
It did a great job. The photos, the in progress, just a great job. um I know he's been a friend of yours for years. I
Yeah.
think I've met him once or twice.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Steve and I also do a an old man's winter classic, quote scare quotes, I guess you could say. But every New Year's Eve, he and I have gotten together with a bunch of friends, and we not only play hockey on New Year's Eve together, which is great, but the guys that do get together, we also donate once we meet the obligation of the rink. Any additional donations are being made, go to people that have been in really extreme circumstances, whether they're fighting cancer or brain aneurysms we've given to, or Living Green Foundation, people that are through drug and alcohol abuse. We've been able to help them out as well. So it's not just that we get together and play hockey. That in and of itself is great, but we're donating money to our community, to our people that are in need. And I know, John, you and I have played in a roller hockey game, with Alex Murray, Steve's younger brother. Why don't you talk about that?
oh yeah, that is, unfortunately it's not happening this year,
Yeah,
but something great, and it will continue. Trust me, no,
absolutely. Yeah,
in his family. Um, it will totally continue. It's the same thing as you have with your Winter Classic, and
yeah,
it's just it's a part of what I love about Philly, and it's a part of what I love about my friends, is that we take bad events and we turned, not we, as I'm just saying, as a group of people. I had nothing to
absolutely.
do with either of these things.
Yeah,
I just donate and play. Um,
yeah,
but no, but what we've been able to do from tragedies
yeah, yeah,
or just concepts of, hey, let's raise money.
yeah,
Just like Steve shows again, I'm sure he had a lot to do with the Old Man Winter Classic. He's
absolutely.
like a go-getter. Um, but that's kind of what we just wanted to shed light on.
Yeah, yeah,
Alex Memorial Classic is the most fun, I think, my kids and me, the 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago I played.
mhm,
It was fun. It put a huge smile on my face to see how many people came out for that.
Yeah.
and how well we did to donate money.
Oh
And
yeah.
little things like that you can do all throughout your community, just raising a little bit of money or just helping just in that one little area,
Yeah.
makes a difference for a bunch of people.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. And I know, like, you and I were at the first playing in the first Alex Murray game. That was, I think, in 2012, if I remember correctly. And that was an emotional day. I can remember that. But at the same time, I think your point's so well stated. It's like we took something that was such a tragedy that happened to that family, but we love Steve so much, and he's meant so much to us in terms of friendship and whatnot. And the fact that we took that game, it could have been somber, it could have been just like, hey, one and done and that's it. But no, we make that an annual occurrence each and every single year. And it's tough that it's not going to happen during this COVID thing, but at the same time, it's like we do it because we not only love the game that we love so much, hockey, but we give back. We give back to living room. We give back to the community. We honor the memory of him each and every time we get out there. And it's always a blast whenever you come up here and play, John. So it's like, can't wait for you to come up here next year for sure.
I will decide. I will make a concerted effort to fly up for the next time that happens. Because
absolutely, yeah. And you're always invited to the old man's too, man. I'm telling you, it's always a lot of fun when you go out there and you play.
I might be up there at that time.
Yeah.
I need to reinvest some equipment. I'm an old man at this point, so
exactly. That's what I'm doing. I had to be dragged out of retirement. Steve Rowe, who runs it, dragged me kicking and screaming out of retirement to play. So it's like you never know. You never know after all these things, man.
Hey, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We have some surprises for this podcast coming up in that time.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll even cover that. You never know with us.
Never know what's going to happen. Absolutely.
We're just dudes talking, and it goes places.
That's right.
Be in a production meeting.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. So let's talk a little bit about Judge Barrett.
Yeah.
And her confirmation of last week. And yeah.
Thank you, United States government. Thank you, Senate. Thank you, Republicans, for actually standing up for something right.
Yeah. I
appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that makes me feel good. Let me just explain a little bit of why.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Matt have talked about this at length. She's a constitutionalist. Judge Scalia is the last constitutionalist to be a part of this great nation.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to replace him with her at this point and change the dynamic of the Supreme Court and not change values, you're just changing how the Constitution's going to be viewed. You're always going to have a vote for the important parts of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. You're always going to have someone that is going to read them as is and vote as is. And that's extremely important. You can't lose that out of the Supreme Court.
Right.
It's our highest court. It makes all our big decisions. It's extremely important to have a constitutionalist in there. That's why it's not a political thing with me. It's not a Republican, Democrat. It's not a left-right thing with me. It's a realization of, hey, the Constitution's super important.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be a part of our justice system and a part of our society.
Exactly.
Because that's why our founding fathers spent all that time writing it.
Yeah.
It's not poo-poo history. Oh, we're going to knock everything down. It doesn't mean anything. They were old. No, they literally did it so that we have a society that runs in 2020 the same way it ran back then. Free trade. Work for everybody.
Yeah. Creating
environments that are good. How do you think Walmart got so popular? How do you think Target got so popular? It's because they followed the right way. Someone made a business, people liked it, and that's what we need to continue. We can't take that away.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have to build on that, and bringing a constitutionalist back. It's been a long time, Matt. I don't even know how long.
Well, I think Scalia was, I think he died, if I'm not mistaken, probably in the mid 2010s. I want to say 2014,
Okay.
2015.
And that
Um,
opened the door for, I can't even remember.
yeah, I
Okay.
can't even remember. Yeah, I think it was like there was a talk that I think was right around when Obama was leaving office, and or something like that. So that would have been 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And that
So
eventually
Kavanaugh,
became Gorsuch's seat. Gorsuch then basically replaced Scalia.
are you sure?
I think that's what it was, yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then, like, you had Kavanaugh, that was Justice Kennedy, and then of course Ruth Bader Ginsburg, now replaced by Judge Barrett. So,
That makes complete. I got a little confused on that. Thank you for
yeah,
clearing.
no, that's okay. But yeah, it's like I think the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway for me, John, I totally agree with everything you just said. I think the biggest thing for me was you could tell the maturity of Judge Barrett at a confirmation hearing, where she basically was writing about like, okay, if I'm writing a verdict or writing a judgment on a call and I don't agree with what the law says, and it's like I have to still follow that law. That to me displayed an incredible amount of maturity and wisdom in that regard. It's like if you don't have that as a judge, and if you just want to just make it up willy nilly, then it's just not going to work. It's ultimately, it's like you're going to be confusing so many people if you go down a road where you come across a law that you don't like, and then all of a sudden, well, I'm going to rewrite over here. That is going to confuse generations upon generations upon generations of other people. So to be a strict constructionalist or an originalist or whatever is the right call, because it's like you're looking back on that particular law and saying, okay, how does this law essentially apply now? That kind of thing. And
I think that's the smartest thing that anybody's ever heard ever.
yeah,
Like that is so important.
mm-hmm.
How does this law
Apply
apply?
now. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You're not changing the law. You're just looking at the person in front of you. It's giving a fair trial.
And that takes wisdom and patience and understanding and realization of like, okay, this is what the law is teaching me. This is what the law is saying to me, that kind of thing, rather than saying, well, I don't like this, I'm going to go down this direction, that kind of thing. And that to me, and you could see it really in the First Amendment, in the Bill of Rights. And this kind of leads into what, big tech was kind of
Oh, that dirty.
kind of getting under the ringer there a little bit, Johnny. I'm telling you. It was pretty bad for one Jack Dorsey being called up to the congressional, I think it was, I forget what, the Senate Commerce Committee. Yeah.
Yes. Well, not even called up because they're so rich and so stupid. They get to.
Yeah.
So I just want to play this little bit of what Ted Cruz said about them, just so we can kind of get into this conversation of big tech.
The three witnesses we have before this committee today collectively pose, I believe, the single greatest threat to free speech in America and the greatest threat we have to free and fair elections. Yesterday, I spent a considerable amount of time speaking with both Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Pichai. I have concerns about the behavior of both of their companies. I would note that Facebook is at the minimum at least trying to make some efforts in the direction of defending free speech. I appreciate their doing so. Google, I agree with the concerns that Senator Klobuchar raised. I think Google has more power than any company on the face of the planet. And the antitrust concerns are real. The impact of Google is profound. And I expect we will have continued and ongoing discussions about Google's abuse of that power and its willingness to manipulate search outcomes to influence and change election results. But today, I want to focus my questioning on Mr. Dorsey and on Twitter because of.
So yeah, just to give everybody some additional background on this, essentially, the New York Post had posted an article um, alleged alleging that basically Hunter Biden with a laptop, had some business dealings with Ukraine, and basically it was very shady. And so they ended up trying to post their particular article on Twitter, and Twitter essentially shut them down from that post and limited those people that wanted to share that article with other other people or organizations or whatever the case may be.
They're just shooting a tweet out. They wouldn't allow it.
They
And they
would.
still actually don't allow it.
They have shut down. I believe, John, correct me if I'm wrong, is the New York Post Twitter account still active? That's my question.
As of today, I'm not sure, but as of the hearings, it was not.
Yeah.
Twitter was saying in a tyrant way, they have to go back in, delete the original post, repost a new post, and then they would be able to share that post.
Yeah.
It was almost like a toddler being like, I want mac and cheese, but you're giving me turkey, throwing a temper tantrum. What are you going to do? Be like, okay, well, I'll give you mac and cheese if you help me put the turkey away.
Exactly.
Like, come on. Like,
It's like, what the heck is going on there?
Like, so New York Post has jumped through your stupid hoops because you're an idiot?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a big fan of big tech. Everybody knows this. They will be watching this anyway. And if you're new to this, I really don't like big tech.
Exactly.
That's why we started.
And I'm joining that, by the way. I'm joining that as well. So, yeah.
And posting on big tech just to shit on big tech. Excuse me for my language, but that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, exactly. But it's huge, John. I mean, it's a clear violation of the First Amendment. And this is the New York Post. Friends, I just want to make this very clear. The New York Post has been around since not necessarily the founding of the country. It was founded by Alexander Hamilton back in the 1790s. It is one of the oldest newspapers in circulation in the nation's history. And for an organization, a Silicon Valley organization, to basically say, we don't agree with this post, therefore we are going to block you from sending that post, you might as well just take the First Amendment and crap all over it, is what big tech is essentially doing. And that is clearly wrong in this country. This country was founded on the very foundation of free speech. It should be up to the American people to make that determination as to whether or not these allegations will ultimately be true or false and make that decision in a voting booth. It is not up to a tech giant to make that decision for the American people. The American people are much smarter, are smarter than what they think they are, essentially. And to be perfectly honest, it's ridiculous for a tech giant to go in there and say, oh, I'm going to protect those from fake news or something along those lines. Let it play out. Let this play out all the way through, John.
I can't say it any better than you said it, so I'm just going to share something that Ted Cruz said. It's exactly how I feel. So we'll just, this is what all American people should think when someone tries to violate the Constitution.
Any other media outlet, Mr. Dorsey, who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear? And why do you persist in behaving as a Democratic super PAC, silencing views to the contrary of your political beliefs?
John, I don't think that could have been any better.
Question. That's a tremendous question.
Yeah.
And moving forward in building this country, the government, which they are suing Google, so just so everybody knows, like the Google is getting sued for controlling a ton. Like we do a lot of research for our podcast, and I primarily use Google. It's really hard to find stuff that isn't to their interest.
Yeah,
it's tough. They are better than they were, but they are being sued by the government because of that.
Yeah.
Because you can't see what you want to see. You don't get stories like Matt was putting out. You don't get stories like we put out in our last podcast. You don't get the happy dappy stories. You don't get the things that make everybody smile.
Yeah.
They want to focus on the negative and what drives them, what they're putting their money into.
And again,
it's people terrible.
And I think too, it's like, and this would be I want to be also very clear on this as well, John, and I think you would agree on this. Listen, this whole thing is not about Republican, Democrat. This is about free speech. This is saying, this tech company is saying, you are not smart enough to make a decision on your own
100%
regarding this particular story. Whether you fall on the side, you vote for Biden on Tuesday, or whether you vote for Trump on Tuesday, a big tech company is saying to you, you are not smart enough to read what is in this article, and we are going to squelch it for your safety and for your, making sure that you're okay. That is not, I cannot emphasize this enough, that is not their call to make. That's your call to make.
Absolutely.
And that's what Ted Cruz is essentially saying. Who the hell elected you, Jack Dorsey? It's not your platform to make that decision on behalf of the American people. The American people make that call, not you.
Jack Dorsey is a very rich man that can make very big decisions.
Might need to trim the beard a little bit. But.
Yeah, if you don't know anything, please check out Joe Rogan's podcast with Tim Pool and Jack Dorsey. You'll know all you need to know about Jack Dorsey. And this isn't a Republican. I'm Republican. I keep saying this, but I'm as far in the middle as I can be. Check that out. If you're like, oh, they're just shitting on someone. No. Look at what he's done before.
Yeah.
Like everything I say in politics, look at what they've done before, because I'm not here just to be mean to them.
Yeah.
I've researched them. I've seen this stuff. And trust me, Jack Dorsey's not a good person. He's been on plenty of platforms.
And he knew
not
he was
just
in
in front of the Senate, looking just like he did in front of the Senate. That's why we didn't play anything, because he just hummed and hawed. You could back in an interview me right now, and I don't know anything about anything. Like the book behind me. Did you read that? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't read it. That's what he basically did.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing. There were a bunch of senators that went after him, and he was like, oh, we changed that 24 hours after
well, that's nice, but
that. It was nonsensical.
Yeah.
Completely. I hope everybody gets sued. I hope the 230 shield gets pulled. I hope the tech giants have to do exactly the same as every other company in this country. They have to bow to the people.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is atrocious.
Yeah.
Atrocious. It is against the Constitution.
Absolutely.
It's against everybody's right to wake up in the morning and not want to be a part of something.
Absolutely.
They're literally forcing you into something that if they get their way, America's not America anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so important that, it's like you have the right to, and again, it's not like John and I are just like saying, oh, you don't have the right to have free speech. You do. You have the right to have free speech. You have the right to defend your opinion. You have the right to have your opinion changed. But our argument, and I'm John, please tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here. Our argument is that type of thing should be protected more than anything else. And that's what the Constitution does. That's what the First Amendment does. It protects our opportunity to come together on this video podcast and talk about these things. We may disagree from time to time. That's okay to do so. That's what makes the country great.
Trust me and Matt do not have the same views on life. I mean, are they similar? Are we great friends?
Absolutely.
We do not agree 100% all the time.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's why we have this great friendship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why we put this business deal together
to
work towards something that we think is important for people.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's transition a little bit from there, John. Let's talk a little bit about COVID.
I can't wait for this. May I introduce this, please?
You sure? Absolutely.
So Matt's done some digging, and anybody who follows me on Facebook know that I don't agree with the coronavirus at all. And Matt is just the work you've done and the smile you bring to my face. All that you find and what we've what we've done on Instagram, and I
Yeah.
just want to laud you for all that, because you get numbers
Yeah.
far better than most people.
Yeah.
So when you bring these topics up, I'm just happy. I'm
Yeah.
like super excited. Let's get into it. Let's learn some things.
Let's dive right in. Yeah. So there's a few things that I wanted to kind of just bring to everybody's attention. This is Dr. Eric Berg. He is he has a Facebook account, and he basically came out with this video. It was dated October 26th of 2020. And he basically is trying to figure out why the COVID-19 death rate is so low across the world, as opposed to the infection rate and the tests are going high. So it's kind of an interesting question that he poses. And as you can see, there's a tab that, or basically a screen that he has here, that basically from April to October, the US had an infection rate that was 2 times, and then but the testing was 6.5 times, comparing from April, when the COVID-19 was first originally introduced, or something along those lines.
That's millions, right?
Exactly, yeah, to October. So it's like we're increasing the number of tests, and yes, we're getting an increase in the infections. And as you can see, it goes across all the way down from France, the UK going 15.5 times the number of tests.
That's
They're
amazing.
going insane. Spain, 10 times the amount from April, October. And yet the death rate is much lower. And so you're starting
like they're all plummeting.
They're all plummeting, including Sweden.
All of the countries that you're showing, it's plummeting.
Yeah.
Like there's no up arrow. We see all the up arrows for the test, but we see all the down arrows for the deaths.
Exactly.
Which is kind of weird.
It is. It's because you're thinking like, well, okay, because the original hypothesis, right, John, was like, okay, this is a brand new, it's a novel virus, meaning it's new, obviously. We don't have a vaccine for it. But wait a minute, okay, that's coming into our system, and everybody talks about that IMHE, that study out in Washington. Oh my God, this whole thing, 1 million deaths in the US alone, 2 million deaths in the US alone. They're forecasting this, emphasis on the word forecast, right? So they're a little off on their forecast. We're not 2 million dead, 230,000. Yes, it's still horrible, but it's not as bad as it once was.
Yes.
So it's not as bad as what was forecasted. So it's like, okay, so what is actually going on here? Well, I'm just going to play a little part of his video here, and he'll talk about why he believes the death rate is so low.
So apparently they developed herd immunity, and they didn't ruin their economy because of it. Why has the death rate dropped so low? Now, is it because people are becoming exposed and getting antibodies? Well, only 1/5 of the population has antibodies to COVID-19. So you would think it'd be a lot more. But for this specific virus, it's only 20%. But I found a very interesting paper that talks about why the death rates have dropped so much. And it has to do with another way that the body becomes immune to a virus. It's called a memory T cell. I haven't talked about this in other videos. One of the mechanisms that the memory T cell uses is called cross-reactivity. So, for example, there are several types of coronaviruses out there. One would be the common cold. So let's say you got the cold 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. Because all of these coronaviruses are very similar DNA-wise, they're like 90% similar, you're going to develop some immunity to COVID-19 if you're exposed to a previous coronavirus.
John, I cannot, that is just amazing. Is it not an amazing thing to think about, that the common cold is a corona-like virus, that H1N1, corona type virus, MERS, SARS, corona type virus, right? So we have had these flu-like strains, and the influenza, coronavirus, like, we've had this. And I think that is such a crucial point that the Dr. Berg just made.
Oh, absolutely. No, That's probably the best point. And let's give, first of all, back to our last point. Thank God Facebook allows that to be posted.
Absolutely.
Segue that was just for fun. No, but the COVID-19, the worst thing that has ever happened to the world, shut down the economy. COVID. Trump talks about this all the time. COVID. We're tired of it.
Yeah.
It's not, it's the cold. It's the flu. It's COVID-19, which is the flu.
Yeah.
Because, question, has anybody seen the recent reports of where all the flu things went?
Yeah.
They're down 95%. So the flu disappeared and COVID-19 showed up.
And all of a sudden COVID showed up? Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like it's on every website ever.
Yeah.
Down 95%. The flu's down 95% during the COVID era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. Which
Guess what,
I think to me,
I had the flu last year. I'll probably get the flu this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get tested because I'll get COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. I also want to bring this up too, John. Now that we're in the midst of this, this is an interesting article that I found from the Loyola Institute for Immunology, and they are basically in September of 2020. Essentially, ever since SARS-CoV first appeared, researchers have been trying to understand whether sometimes the immune system does more harm than good during the acute phase of COVID-19. The latest study by researchers at Loyola clearly argues in favor of the immune system. And basically the work published in the online issue of Cell magazine confirms that a multi-layered virus-specific immune response is important for controlling the virus during the acute phase of the infection and reducing COVID-19 disease severity, with the bulk of the evidence pointing to a much bigger roles for T cells than antibodies.
Well,
so again, Loyola agreeing with essentially, or Dr. Berg essentially agreeing with the Loyola Institute for Immunology. So again, it just makes the point that yes, there's a pandemic. Yes, there's a novel virus. Yes, we don't have a vaccine for it. And yes, it's being developed. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't seen this.
Can we go backwards real quick? Just
sure.
Talk about Sweden for a minute. Can you put up that video with Sweden, just so we could just talk a tiny bit about that real quick? Because I think that's important before we that's perfect, Matt. Thank you very much.
Yep.
If you look to the bottom of your screen in red, this is why Dr. Berg did. Thank you, Matt.
Right there.
Very much so it's 30 times the death rate lower.
Yeah.
Right? It's 2 times the testing rate.
Mm-hmm.
But the infection rate is
down.
Is that 17 times?
1.7.
Oh,
1.7 times. Yeah.
Hey, doctor, put a dot on there.
A little bit.
Make it look bad. No, okay, so 1.7 times infection rate lower.
Yeah.
If you look at the rest of that is the only chart in which is going down that, other than up.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, you test more, you get more.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Me and my wife joke around all the time. You want coronavirus? Just go get tested for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a running joke in our household. Like, because if you get tested, you're probably going to get it.
Yeah.
It's just the way the world works. It's the same thing. Like, if you think you'll get, it's just the way how humans work. But look at Sweden. And Matt, please speak on what did Sweden do that the United States didn't do or do better than the United States?
Yeah, I mean, they did something called, they didn't wear masks, number one. And number two, they did not have a national lockdown.
Interesting. Very interesting. And I'm not saying...
And I would also mention this too. Sorry to cut you off there, John. I would also mention this. The World Health Organization did say that national lockdowns have done irreparable harm to people.
Yes. I think the CDC, actually the director of CDC also said that they've all come out and
Yeah.
Trump said it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it has done irreparable harm. It's not just the fact of the coronavirus, but it's people that have taken their own lives,
mhm.
because
Drug
of this.
abuse, alcohol abuse,
Drug abuse, alcohol abuse up,
child abuse,
child
all
abuse
of it's
up, spousal abuse up,
all of it's up.
all of it. Yeah.
You have to
So it has
remember,
done
hey,
the exact
flu numbers are
opposite.
down. The rest is up. Flu
It is-
numbers are down. The rest is up.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we keep hammering these points.
Mm-hmm.
Because this, that's great. If you want alcoholism, you want, drug abuse to go up. If
Yeah.
you want spousal abuse to go up, if you want suicide rates to go up, we're on the right path. Because you know what? The flu rate went down.
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense.
Why I look infuriated about it.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's not hard. We're not Harvard educated,
Yeah.
mathematic. We didn't jump through a million hoops to be these dudes that'll stand in front of you and be like, I know everything, you don't know anything. Just two dudes, two noobs talking.
Two noobs talking.
And we've been talking about this for a while, and this is
Yeah.
what we're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because the flu rate's down, COVID's up.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And yet,
But everything else is falling apart.
and here's
And
the
you go to
thing too,
employ
John.
that.
I think those memory T cells, and we talked about it, Dr. Berg talked about it, backed up by that study I was referring to earlier from LaJolla. It is amazing when you stop to think about it. We have the immunity that the body has been used to, that our bodies have been used to this. And the fact that, okay, yes, this is a novel virus, and eventually we will have to probably, if you wanted to get a COVID-19 shot or whatever the case, that's fine. Our point is, this is a corona type virus. So is the common cold. So is influenza. So is SARS. So is MERS. So is H1N1. All of those are corona-like viruses. Our bodies have built up immunity. And that's the point we really want to drive home. John, I really want to drive home to anybody who's listening to this. We have the immunity. And yes, we will need to eventually trick our bodies to because I had a flu shot on Friday. I just wanted to make sure that I, just get over it, whatever.
Mhm.
It's fine, more than anything else. We're going to be okay. And I also want to make this point too, just to wrap this up. Moderna, I'm telling you, I mean, they in of itself it's just a remarkable company when they are now preparing a global launch of their COVID-19 vaccine, as they've accepted essentially $1 billion in deposits from governments across the world. And they are now talking with the WHO, which is basically just, with the pricing proposals and a whole bit. They are the front runner. They are very close to releasing their vaccine. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see a Moderna vaccine by the end of the year, because it's you got to get that out. That's going to be difficult with the distribution.
Absolutely.
But then it's I'm thinking spring time frame, we put this behind us. We don't have to talk about it.
I
But-
totally agree. I also know that Pfizer's doing something.
Pfizer,
John
AstraZeneca.
Trump has said that he has military logistics working on how they're going to get it out to the United States. I don't know how they're going to get it out to the world. I mean, I guess it's not Trump's problem. It's someone else's problem.
Yeah. But the very fact, yeah.
It seems like everything is working. Therapeutics.
Yes.
Therapeutics scene. Trump talks a lot about them. The national media doesn't, but I mean, we've learned not to listen to them anyway because they're just in the same boat as big tech.
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely things out there that will make this transition.
Yep.
And I think we're definitely further than rounding the corner that the political people want to talk about.
Oh,
I think
100%.
I don't see very many people in Texas that are I see more people getting frustrated that they forgot their mask in their car than they are about getting the virus.
Exactly.
Yeah. Back to their car.
Yeah, exactly.
I wear it on my head because
I'll usually carry in the pocket and throw it on and whatever. But yeah, I'll keep it in the car. Yeah.
Exactly. If you do research, if you feel you need to wear a mask, do research on the mask. I do the fast masks because at least I quit smoking 5 months ago, and I'll tell you something, with masks, it makes me feel like I want to smoke. Now think about that deeply.
Yeah.
That's the only time I want to smoke is when I'm wearing a mask. Why? Maybe not severely, but I'm cutting off oxygen in my lungs.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
That blew me away when I realized what a mask was. And I was like, well, I just quit smoking 3 months ago. I'm fine, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, why do I want a cigarette right now?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, why? Because my body's duplicating the same process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One
Interesting.
other thing I should also mention too, John, I want to mention this to our audience. What has really helped me has been taking vitamin D3.
Yes.
And if you know what that is, essentially, that is a system or a little pill supplement that basically enhances your immune system.
Yes. Yes. It comes from the sun. D3 comes from the sun.
Yep.
So if you run outside all day, you might not need a supplement. I do not take a supplement. I work outside.
Yep.
But
for those that have office jobs,
yes, D3 is so important.
So important.
I actually learned the way to learn you have too much D3 is if you get itchy. That's a thing.
Yeah.
That's the genius wife.
There you go.
Yeah. Knows some things. Yeah. If you find yourself scratching after you've taken the supplement, you already have enough.
Yeah.
So don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it. Exactly.
Don't overdo it.
Exactly. They only tell the bottle that I picked up, John, it's only 1 dose per day. That's it. So it's just 1 pill, done. You take it every single day, 1 pill every day. You don't need to go hog wild over it or anything of that sort. You don't need to take 2 or 3 or 4 is our point.
Absolutely. 1. And also multivitamins, it's
vitamin C, all that stuff. Yeah.
It's what we do every day. Have a glass of orange juice. I like beer, but I have a glass I have a glass of milk. I'm a little on the fence with how we cattle things, but I have milk. I have organic.
Nothing more important to having a glass of beer every day, John. I mean, ultimately, that's what it's all about, right?
No, absolutely. It's all about balance.
Exactly.
It's all about working out. It's all about doing everything you can to be, the coronavirus isn't as bad as anything else that has ever been put in front of us. Do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, drink a beer.
Work out, go for a walk. Yeah. No national mask mandate needed. You don't need to go, oh my God, we're going to have the vaccines ready. But in the meantime, continue to, if you want, wear the mask, take D3, eat right, get some exercise, you'll be fine. And your body has developed T cells. This is the important point. Develop the T cells to fight any sort of coronavirus, common cold, whatever the case may be. So hang in there.
And do your research on the masks.
Yep.
If you want a really good one, fast masks.
There you go.
Awesome. They're awesome. They don't feel like they're suffocating me.
Perfect. So John, now that we talked about corona, I understand there's some water on the moon. Is that right?
I hear we're going back.
Or we possibly might be going back. What the heck's going on there, man?
Let me get comfy in here. Get a little comfy in this. You're gonna see that Ted Cruz thing real quick, but we're gonna go. So yes, Matt, the other day, actually, you know how I found out? By a mutual friend of ours, Tom. Said the moon was wet and he needed to go there with towels. Which makes me laugh. Tom always makes me laugh. He will be a guest, hopefully, very soon on our podcast.
Yeah, that'll probably be a wrestling only podcast, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. He's a genius. I love him to death. So I'm just going to point out, if we can see this, right? They found water molecules
on the moon.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, just right over there. We have a little video I'm going to show. Yeah, but they found water molecules. And, see that lovely little thing? That's Sophia. She's awesome. But I'm going to just play this little thing for you so you can find out who she is.
Sunlit on the moon. Sunlit sign on the moon.
Mm-hmm. So this is an infrared airplane that is checking for these things. That's exactly where they found. See, that's
That is
exactly where they found
unbelievable. Yeah.
it. So they're super, super duper excited.
So they don't know where it might be. It could be meteorites or it could be partially from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's just remarkable.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
I didn't stop that music.
It's just amazing when you stop to think about that. The fact that they found water on the moon through an infrared airplane. And the fact that they may believe that it could be coming from a tiny meteorite, or it might be from the reflect off the sun in of
Yeah.
itself to on the sunlit side of the moon. So it's like that the picture was absolutely beautiful because it's like right on the southern tip of the moon. So you could take like a telescope and look to see that crater, and you're going to find, you're not going to see it obviously, but it's like when they eventually will get up there in 2024. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But the fact that they have water on the moon is amazing, John. And with an environment that, you know, there's no atmosphere on the moon. It's a vacuum up there.
Yes.
Remarkable.
Yes. If you know anything about the NASA in Houston, they actually have been doing these programs since the 70s. They've been pulling apart moon rock and finding these things. So this is not like just an amazing, like they've been working on this for a long time. They've been able to grow plants out of moon rocks. So looking for it, like using, you know, infrared, finding the molecules, it's awesome. But this is just the first, that was just the first step.
Yeah.
What they're planning is something that's going to make 1969 look like a cartoon.
Yeah.
So let me just get into this a little bit, just to explain it. So this is Artemis. By the way, it's a relative of Apollo.
Hmm. And the fact
So
that
this
they're
is humanity returning to the moon.
moon.
So I'm just going to go down here a little bit and explain a couple things. So what I've learned through this research of us finding water on the moon is they have a large program that has been funded, taken care of. It's already happening. It's going to happen. It starts next year. What they are doing is they're changing their launch protocol, building a new ground system to launch the greatest rocket ever. This rocket is going to be carrying Orion. This is where the people are going to be. Conversely, they are launching the Gateway. The Gateway has the ability to change orbits to put people on the moon wherever they need to.
Oh my gosh.
So Orion will dock with Gateway wherever they need it to. And through that, they have these lunar launchers. If you can see this right here.
For landers, yeah.
That's what's going to make it to the moon. I keep saying launchers. I'm sorry. It's lunar landers.
Landers, yeah.
They are going to land on the moon. That's how astronauts and scientists and whatever else we want to get on there, that's how they will get on there. They've also spent a ton of time redesigning the spacesuit.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to think because we all grew up with the spacesuit.
Yeah.
We know what that looks like.
Sure.
They're redesigning and changing it. It's going to be the Artemis generation spacesuit, which is for deep space. All this Artemis project is for more deep space exploration, which is amazing. I mean, it's just not the moon.
Yeah.
It's actually tagged Moon to Mars.
That's amazing.
So the moon will teach us Mars. And it's very important to know that there are 3 phases to this, and I'm going to pull them up. NASA's working to launching the Artemis 1 in 2021.
Mm.
It's an uncrewed flight to test the space launch and the Orion spacecraft together.
Mm.
2, Artemis 2 is the first crewed flight test. This is a spaceship for the Space Launch System Orion,
Yeah.
targeted in 2022. The third one, they will land astronauts on the moon by 2024 on
Wow.
Artemis 3. I hope I'm alive for this.
Yeah.
It's super exciting.
Oh my gosh.
And they are going to do it every year afterwards. So
It's just incredible. Yeah.
we are moving towards, basically, I'm going to say it the way NASA say it, we're going.
Yeah.
As a society, as humanity, we're going.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play this for everybody, just so you can understand what is happening.
50 years ago, we pioneered a path to the moon. The trail we blazed cut through the fictions of science and showed us all what was possible. Very pretty out here. Today, our calling to explore is even greater. To go farther, we must be able to sustain missions of greater distance and duration. We must use the resources we find at our destinations. We must overcome radiation, isolation, gravity, and extreme environments like never before. These are the challenges we face to push the bounds of humanity. We're going to the moon to stay by 2024, and this is how.
This all starts with the ability to get larger, heavier payloads off planet and beyond Earth's gravity.
For this, we designed an entirely new rocket.
The Space Launch System. SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever developed.
And with components in production,
And more in testing.
this system is capable of being the catalyst for deep space missions. We need a capsule that can support humans from launch
through deep space and return safely back to Earth. For this, we built Orion.
This is NASA's next generation human space capsule.
Using data from lunar orbiters that continue to reveal the moon's hazards and resources, we're currently developing an entirely new approach to landing and operating on the moon. Using our commercial partners to deliver science instruments and robotics to the surface, we are paving the way for human missions in 2024.
Our charge is to go quickly and to stay, to press our collective efforts forward with a fervor that will see us return to the moon in a manner that is wholly different than 50 years ago.
We want lunar landers that are reusable,
that can land anywhere on the lunar surface. The simplest way to do so is to give them a platform in orbit around the moon from which to transition.
An orbiting platform to host deep space experiments and be a waypoint for human capsules. We call this lunar outpost Gateway.
The beauty of the Gateway is that it can be moved between orbits
It will balance between the Earth and Moon's gravity.
in a position that is ideal for launching even deeper space missions.
In 2009, we learned that the moon contains millions of tons of water ice.
This ice can be extracted and purified for water, and we separate an oxygen for breathing or hydrogen for rocket fuel.
The moon is quite uniquely suited to prepare us and propel us to Mars and beyond.
This is what we're building.
This is what we're training for.
This we can replicate throughout the solar system.
This is the next chapter of human space exploration.
Humans are the most fragile element of this entire endeavor, and yet we go for humanity. We go to the moon and on to Mars to seek knowledge and understanding and to share it with all. We go knowing our efforts will create opportunities that cannot be foreseen. We go because we are destined to explore and see with our own eyes. We turn towards the moon now, not as a conclusion, but as preparation, as a checkpoint toward all that lies beyond. Our greatest adventures remain ahead of us. We are going.
We're going.
We are going.
We are going.
We're going.
We're definitely going.
John, I got to admit, it's like, one, that's just amazing. Two, I remember a show called Mythbusters, and Adam Savage got a chance to fly in a huge U-2 bomber, by the Air Force, and it was like 70,000 feet above, the Earth's surface, and you see the curvature of the Earth and the whole bit. And he was just like, it's amazing that humanity was able to dig things up out of the ground to build a plane to fly 70,000 feet above the heavens, and you can see, this is the first time I've seen that video from NASA, and it's amazing that we are going to develop the technology to be able to do that, just to fly and orbit around the moon, and then essentially land where we want to on the moon, gather those resources, and then take off to go to Mars.
You can just change your orbit. Like they figured out how to change your orbit, so they can go this way, they can go that way, they can go this way, they can land on what, because if you know anything about the 1969 mission, they landed where they could.
Yeah.
That was basically, it was the first, and now they want to go back every year. So 2024, 2025, we all know years. They're going to go back. We're going to learn a ton. Like science is taking a huge jump. And like we said this about the last story that we did. This is the thing that I do for the show is I get in depth in a story. And I hope to have another one for next week. I'll find one.
It's gonna be interesting to follow up on, for sure.
But yeah, this is also the same thing. Like we will definitely follow up on this for a long time. This is a great story.
It's remarkable. Yeah, I mean, I just think about like, what was it? Maybe like I guess it was 5-6 years ago. The space shuttle done, retired. No one's launching. You got to go to Russia, get on their rocket. And it was kind of a joke almost, like, in the Big Bang Theory, Howard goes to the moon and he does it on the Russian rocket, and he makes a joke that, oh my God, you got to get the fuel from the Russian black, mafia or whatever the case. And it's like, it's a joke. And here, NASA, what a remarkable resurgence by that organization to say, we're going. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when we're going.
Yeah. They got the funding from the United States government that they deserved that was taken away from them for years and years and years.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that they're able to then, it's not just because you could study the moon even more now because now that's 60 years. The last time we went there, 1969, we're going to go back there in 2024. That's like,
we didn't have these.
Say again?
We didn't have these.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, that right there, that phone right there, John, was essentially what NASA had across like multiple different ones. It's like multiple
But I've read tons of stories about that. And NASA was using this on a scale of the entire size of
exactly, your apartment building or whatever.
The size of their computer.
Exactly.
Now we have this, and now we're going. Look, they're talking about just dropping people. We're just dropping them off.
We're just going to just drop them off here.
And people are going to be archaeological. I can't even say that word. But they're just going to be. It's the same thing as you see in the deserts. Like they're going to drop scientists off, and they're going to do their work, and they're going to report back.
Yeah.
Because they're developing everything, not only spacecrafts and not even launching points. They've upgraded both of their launching points to be able to put somebody or something somewhere and learn about the entire sphere of the moon.
That's amazing.
That's something that we've never, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
But just if you look up at the moon, just look up at the moon, especially now, because I think it was a full moon yesterday. Look at the vastness of that beautiful thing that orbits us.
Yeah.
And realize that we are now getting to a point that we're going to know so much of. We're going to know why it's there. We're going to know. We're going to answer all the questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is great.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Yeah. And it was funny. It's like, when they landed in 69, all those years ago, and then there was like the moon conspiracy theory. Oh, did we really go? Was this just a setup and all that kind of stuff? And NASA's like, we went and we're going back. So we'll show you guys. Essentially.
And now they're going back.
Yeah.
And that's how you end a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly
Well,
right.
thank God. To be honest, right
Good
before the
stuff.
election, thank God they got the funding.
Yeah.
Thank God the Trump people are smart enough to put money back into America and put money,
And the fact that they're going to try and do this within 4 years is just utterly remarkable, and then continually go back year after year.
Yeah, it
I
seems
mean,
like they
kudos to
always
that.
had the ability.
Yeah.
But people were holding it away.
Holding it away. Yeah. And now here it is. It's like they're going to have this. And, Elon Musk is huge of this, with SpaceX, of course, that had launched in the summer.
Absolutely.
And that was a successful launch to get 2 guys up to the International Space Station. I'm sure they have like a lot of after action review of like, oh my gosh, okay, what went right, what went wrong, and they're learning every single day. And I think it's just utterly remarkable that, they have plans, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised that SpaceX is going to be involved in this, and other organizations, Lockheed.
Absolutely. I think they're building. Elon Musk is a guy, like, on the surface, maybe people don't understand him, but if you can dig into what he's into, he does a lot of symposiums. He does a lot of speaking about technology.
Yeah.
He's the guy to listen to if you want to talk about the growth of technology and how he's moving human behavior and moving mechanics and just digital. Like, I'm not as smart as him. I'll never be able to understand, but I know he's doing things that are so clear and concise, better for the human race than we could have thought of 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Exactly. Yeah. That's a great story to finish this episode of Two Noobs Talking. John, as always, it's great to get with you and talk about all these things. And can't wait for episode number 4. Look for us very, very soon. And we hope you enjoyed this latest episode. So
okay, so just real quick, we are on YouTube, Bitchute, and Rumble. You can subscribe, like, share, do whatever you can, please. We are on as many platforms as we can be. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Two Noobs Talking. You can find us on everything. And just one more thing before we get at, Matt, don't go down the rabbit hole.
I'll try not to, Johnny. Have a great one, guys. Talk to you all soon.